Hey everyone, welcome back to the Blind Tiger Collective podcast. We are here today. We are excited today. It's Terry, one of your hosts. I'm here with Charlie Sells, Christy, or better known as CPH. Our good buddy Joe is a bit under the weather today, and we are going to get into some fun stuff today. We're going to talk a little bit of bourbon history. We are going to introduce a new segment called Christie's Encounters that we're looking forward to. And as always, we got some great fun bourbon buzz for you. And speaking of buzz, hey guys, cheers.
What's
Huh?
up? Cheers.
Cheers,
Hey
cheers.
We're
there.
back.
There we go.
We're
Been a
back.
minute,
Clean.
been a
We
minute
are.
since we've had Christy with us. She missed
Yep.
quite a spicy episode last time.
I heard. I hate I missed it, but that's okay. I get to be a spectator, which will be cool.
You get to
I
listen
might
to
have-
all of our ridiculous takes and go, all of you are wrong.
And
Dude,
just
I'm
say,
pretty
man,
sure
they
my
needed
takes
me
got
there.
worse. Yeah, it's for sure true. My takes got worse throughout the night as the bourbon kept pouring. So
I'd argue
it
they
is
got
what it is.
better, actually.
It's fair enough. Fair enough. Well, guys, let's get into the bourbon we're drinking. Let's start there and see what let's explore some of the juice that you guys have. Let's start with Charlie. Charlie, what do you got?
I'm starting off with some Bardstown. This is their collab series with Foursquare, this year's release. I'll be honest, it's spicier than I remember, but in a good way. A lot of good baking spice on there for me. I always love their collaboration series. I hadn't had a Foursquare in 2-3 years, and somebody was kind enough to say, "Hey, I don't need any more." I was like, "I'll take it. That's great with me." It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best. I think it's one of the best collaborations that they do very consistently, and I love that they have done it more than once as well. So I don't just like rum is not one of my favorite things in the world, but like rum finished whiskeys and bourbons tend to have a very desirable profile for me. So this one gets pretty high marks.
This brings up for the listeners. Maybe there are some bourbon beginners out there. Give them a little backstory on the Foursquare bottle.
Foursquare is a collaboration that Bardstown has done. It's really just a blend of bourbons that have been finished in Foursquare rum barrels. This particular one, it says it's 90% of an Indiana 7-year and 10% of a Tennessee 17-year, which is where a lot of that spice comes from.
Goodness.
But they age it for 23 months in Foursquare rum barrels. So it is nice and round and great. One of the best that you can get. I don't believe it's a distillery only exclusive. I could be wrong about that. But it's excellent.
I feel like Christy would know.
I don't think it is. However, I have not seen it out in the world, so I could be wrong. I'm going to text Jasmine while we're on here and see if I can get an answer. They're national brand ambassador. I'm going to see if Jasmine can tell us. I'm curious now.
There you go.
I
And
like
by
it.
the way, I've had a couple of their distillery only releases. Terry, you and I got to deconstruct the triple stave a few years ago, and that was lovely. They've got several. Whenever you go up there, they always have their white label, like whatever their current like Origin series pick is, and several others that you just can't find anywhere else. Cathedral is one of those. The French Cathedral one that they did last year. I think the Mizunara this year as well. So they're just crushing it. It's always good.
And both of those are great. The Cathedral and the Mizunara. The Cathedral is probably one of my favorite pours of the year. And not that it's a distillery only, but their Disco 13, the Discovery 13 is delicious. I am kicking myself
hear
that
it's-
I only bought one bottle of that
Yeah.
because sadly it is almost gone already.
Yeah, I hear that one is right on par with Disco 9 and Disco 11.
It is. It absolutely is. I blinded it with 11 and I actually picked the 13. So,
I love
yeah,
it.
it's really,
Well,
really
Christy,
good.
would you
Bardstown, if you're listening, we could use another bottle of that.
We could also use a sponsor, Ryan Woody.
There we go. There we go.
That too.
I think both ways are sponsored. Like if there's a bottle from Bardstown, we'll be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Christy, you switched last minute, and I'm excited to later learn why. Enter cliffhanger. But what you drinking over
Yes, I did switch last minute, and I switched over to this MB Rollin. This is their wheated bourbon, so they do a lot of great things. It's a single barrel, so a little different than their small batch. But I am sipping on some MB Rollin wheated bourbon, and we will talk later on what made me pick this bottle for today. But there's a great story behind it.
I can't wait to
Love
hear
that
it.
teaser.
I do too. Great
Yes.
teaser. Great teaser.
She didn't even tell us, right? And we
No.
run this thing.
It's a
That's true. I
surprise
did
for
tell
everybody.
her. I told her 2 minutes before the podcast started that I created a segment for her. She's like, "Well, let me switch my bourbon then." So can't wait.
Yes.
Can't wait. Guys, I was
We got Terry.
tooling around at the old KBF with my good friend Christy, and I was being her security, and we ran into our good buddy Tim Beckner, also known as the Nashville Bourbon Enjoyment. I said, "Where you headed to?" I said, "Because I wanted to get an interview," and we did that. It's up on our Instagram channel, and he's like, "I want to go over and try this silk velvet that I keep hearing about." I said, "I've heard this too, and I don't know anything about it." And so we went over together, and I have this small batch select, 107 proof, silk velvet, and it's really good. I do like it a lot. I was very surprised. It's a sour mash whiskey.
Ooh.
And wish I could tell you more about it other than the fact that I just really like it. And I was really surprised, blown away. And that's why I like hanging out with my bourbon friends at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, because it's just kind of fun to get on one and see where we're going, and kind of, in a way follow the crowd and see what's good. Maybe somebody knows something about something before I do, and let's try it. So yeah, shout out to Tim on that one, because that was a good choice. It's a good bourbon. Um, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, guys,
Well,
we're moving and grooving here. We're gonna move into our next segment, and our next segment is going to be a little fun history. And we know a little bit about bourbon history. We've talked about it before. We think that that's part of our brand here at Blind Tiger. Matter of fact, the name Blind Tiger is the old slang term for finding a speakeasy. So we liked it for that reason. We love the vibe. We love the secrecy. We love the exclusivity. That feeling that you get when you're in a speakeasy, when you're in it, you almost transcend into another world. So very steeped in history is our brand. And so a fun piece of bourbon history that's maybe not as little known, but I still love it. It is the good old prescribed bourbon. So 1920, the 18th Amendment outlawed the production and sale of alcohol. Y'all remember that? No, you don't. You're too young.
wasn't there.
So
Put
then
it
Missed,
here
on
in
missed
the
it by missed it by a
Europe.
smidge.
just missed it. Just missed it. I look older than all of y'all, and I wasn't there either. So, no, under the Volstead Act, the law that enforced the prohibition, it could no longer be legally distributed outside of being used for medicinal purposes. You guys want to take a guess at how many prescriptions were written for bourbon back then?
More than
You got nothing?
two.
You got nothing?
A
A lot.
lot.
Try 8 million prescriptions.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there
And
weren't that many people in the country then. We've got to keep that in mind. So you got to put that number in perspective.
exactly. Lots and lots of people were on
You know,
the juice.
Sometimes you hear about medical fraud going on, right? Like I go in and I say this is happening and I just want to get some of the high test, good
Mhm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine that there was probably a subset of doctors out there that were like, "Okay, listen. We can help you out here. Are you
Oh, yeah.
feeling this way? Are you feeling this today? Oh wow, I think you might need a bourbon prescription, a whiskey prescription."
It's exactly.
And I can
exactly
almost
how I
guarantee
imagine
I mean,
it
that
it
going.
wasn't just like you got to think about that. Like that wasn't just a one-way street. It wasn't just
It's
people
true.
going, "Doc, I gotta have my juice." Like I can't go to sleep without it. There's also people who are going, "Hey, just go talk to this guy. You don't even need to talk to him. You just go up to knock on his door 4 times, and a little piece of paper will come out through the little mail slot, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
set." right? Like there's like no one was innocent. Everyone was complicit in some way, shape, form, or fashion when this
It's
was
very,
featured.
very true.
Absolutely. And if I were a doctor, I would feel it was my duty to help the people of the world, bring a little joy. You can't solve everything, but this was it within their ability to fix. So I would have been writing prescriptions out left and right. I
Look,
mean,
I felt bad
honestly,
I'd have been
that one
sharing
time I
prescriptions.
begged
I'd be like, let's
a
pour one for me and for you.
yeah.
yes,
That one time I
yes.
begged a doctor for antibiotics, like I felt horrible. I was like, I don't want to get you in trouble, bro. Like I just wanted to
hmm
feel better.
Well,
So
it's
little
what we're
known.
seeing now with the, devil's lettuce, whatever nickname you want to use for it. Um, there's been a million kind of comedy sketches where people will go to their doctor and they'll say, hey, I've got such and such going on. All right, then here you go. So it was the same thing. I think there were a whole lot of people who had a lot of headaches and yeah, my knee hurts and I'm pretty sure this is going to help me out. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised by it.
The
Yeah,
weather's too dry out here. I got to have something to wet my whistle, right?
that's exactly right.
Exactly.
So
That
we
dry
you all
cough.
remember, I don't know if you remember how long Prohibition lasted, but it was a quick 13 years. And I think another part
Well,
of the
except in
history
this
there that
state, we were
I don't
longer.
know, were we? I don't know if I knew that.
Tennessee, so even
I
after
actually didn't know.
federal prohibition was
Did you know that?
over, the great state of Tennessee kept it going for a while. Like or no, we started it early, but yeah, Tennessee, we for some reason we didn't play well with others, and we had an extra decade of prohibition here.
We were not going to volunteer to give up that alcohol, you know,
That's not why we
uh,
got the nickname
at some
volunteer.
point. No, that's not why we got that. That's not why we got that nickname. It was not. It was
Oh,
not because we were like, here you go, sir. No.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the funnest things I thought that was cool about this is that this is what shaped or helped shape what we know as the modern bourbon industry as a whole, right? Aged bourbon. That's where a lot of this come into play, which is really really cool. Uh, the other interesting fact that there were there was only six. I stand corrected. Only six in the entire country distilleries that were permitted or granted a license to produce medicinal spirits. You guys like to try your hand at guessing three of them?
Three states. Is that what you said?
No, sorry, no.
Three
Three
distilleries.
distilleries.
Oh, three distilleries. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna
What they're
guess
called
one was
now, or
owned.
what they were called then, because they've combined
Oh,
some now.
can't cheat.
Okay, never mind then. I won't say. But I will
I'm
say
just
there's a
gonna.
reason we have some legacy or heritage brands right now.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I like it.
I just because I know it's gone through a small revival. I'm gonna guess Green River for one of them.
Well, you may be right, but that's not one of my three on my list. So
Okay.
I'll
Oh,
just tell you
oh.
what they. I'll just
Am I
tell you what
picking
they
the three that you picked? Like the only three that you found?
I only have three of the six. Okay. So
Oh, okay. All right, Terry.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a rigged. It
Like
was a rigged game from the start.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're stacking the deck in the opposite way now. You're like, we only have half the knowledge anyways. So
I
good
win.
luck trying to
That
guess
was
the
a
other half.
yeah. I was just trying to
So,
win. I
so
was
the
just trying to
real
win.
game is read Terry's mind. Got it. Got it.
That's
Got
right.
it.
That's right.
Was
So
one
here,
was one of them owned by Taylor?
near. No,
One of his seven.
you've got Brown Forman or Old Forester.
Okay.
You've got Frankfurt Distillery, which would later become part of Buffalo Trace. And then you have A.P.H. Stitzel, or of
Stitzel.
later, Pappy Van Winkle. So
Yes.
there you go. Those are fun facts
I
for you.
that feels right. I mean, given how steeped in history they are to this day, that makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense.
So yeah,
And
that's
it,
my.
and it
And
gives them a
especially how
true,
well Tennessee didn't play with others.
exactly.
Like that they wouldn't be on that list. Like, nah, we don't want anything to do with you.
But it really contributed to the big names that we're seeing today. When you were able to fully capitalize on, talk about a monopoly, because that's kind of what they were handed. We went from having hundreds, if not thousands, of distilleries down to six that were controlling everything. So the amount of money they were able to stack, the brand name and reputation they were able to build during that time. And then you got to think, if you were granted a medicinal license as a consumer, even when prohibition ends, I'm going to automatically think you're making a higher quality product. So even when I have a ton of other choices, I'm coming back to you because you were medical grade, and medical grade is always going to be assumed to be good. So
Yeah,
so they were
It's
handed
a
a
great
real
point.
leg up.
They
that's a
really were.
great point. That's a great point. Well, before we move on from the segment, that's so these are my favorite pieces of history. I do love the stories of the bootlegging, the stories of the tunnels and getting bourbon. I mean, bourbon never went away during Prohibition. You just needed to know how to get it. Um, so that said, that's my favorite piece of history. Do you guys have a particular piece of history? It doesn't have to be super old. But what do you have anything in particular that you remember? I don't know, gives you a feeling of nostalgia to think about.
I don't know that it's a piece of history necessarily, but I always think about that old Andy Griffith episode where the two old ladies were distilling moonshine, and the only way to get it was to walk up to them and say, "Oh, I'm using it for a party," and they were so excited and so happy to provide you with the white lightning for a party. And
Mm.
Andy shows up, and they're on cloud nine, thinking that they're doing a great service to all of these citizens. And he's like, "This is really illegal, ladies." And they're like, "Oh no, it's fine. They're not using it to, get trashed. They're using it for parties to entertain." And he's like, "It doesn't matter. You're still in trouble." So that's just, I know that happened like everywhere, and it's one of those stories that just like is encapsulated, I think, in pop culture history.
Hmm.
That like prohibition was what it was, but people still found a way. People
Hmm.
got really sneaky. They had the what was that guy's name? Like the Casey Jones portable stills that it lived in the back of a truck, and if they heard the 50 coming, they could just shut the tailgate and run on to the next place and everything
Hmm.
else. So I think it just speaks to a lot of the American ingenuity and innovation that still carries on to this day, right? Like we're still trying to find ways to make it work in whatever context that we're in.
It's like the Waltons. They did the same thing. The Baldwin sisters on the Waltons, who were making the recipe. And everybody knew, if you go to the Baldwin sisters, and they were these two like 80, 90-year-old women who were cranking this stuff out. They didn't even realize it was illegal, but that's the whole town knew it, and it was just part of it. And to your point, Charlie, that happened in every city across the country. So it was still being made, it was still happening. We just had to get creative. But I think for me, the history that I really appreciate most, and I feel like we probably talked about it here before, is the Bottled and Bond Act. There
Hmm.
is something powerful to me about the fact that one of the first laws passed about food and beverage and all in this country was about alcohol. And, at that point, the goal truly was to make it safer because people were trying to make their whiskey stronger, but they were doing it by adding things like turpentine and tobacco spit to it. And, 'cause it would give it a darker color. And I mean, even now you've got people who are like, oh, this is super dark. That means that's going to be really strong or it's really
Hmm.
old. Well, back then they were just literally adding all kind of crap to it, and E.H. Taylor came along and, finally got Congress to pass the Bottle and Bond Act. So at least people knew the stuff they were drinking was safe and they weren't going to drop dead in the streets just from trying to have a drink. So I think I appreciate what he did. I appreciate that he really wanted to set his spirits apart. And again, I think it speaks to the fact that whiskey is woven into the history of this country in a very meaningful way. Like when you talk about it, you can't uncouple it from who we've been as a country from the earliest beginnings.
Yeah, that's all fun. It's fun stuff for me. There are more stories, but we'll save some for another time. But we do love the history. So Charlie, my
Yes.
man, this is your chance to take us to the bourbon buzz, the bourbon news. Give us give us some fun stuff. That's the industry changed a ton in the last, I don't know, 12 to 14 months. So, what's
It's
going on
true.
out there?
Well, one of the things that I think is most interesting is at this moment, at the time of this tape, we can't call it a taping anymore. There's no tape, recording. Um, right. And that always bothers me, like just as a words person, when somebody's like, hey,
Mhm.
can you tape this? I'm like, I don't have any tape. What do you want me to do? Be
I will
more
not.
specific. Give me the digital version of this. Anyways, um, during the time of our conversation, we currently have the most barrels aging, and yet some of the weakest projections of the bourbon industry. I mean, we're not on pace. The industry is not on pace to do the kind of business that they have been doing over the last 10 to 15 years. And yet we still have 16.1 million barrels that are currently aging. We've talked several times about, has the bubble burst?
Hmm.
Is there something going on, that's kind of behind the scenes? Well, maybe it's a dip. We don't want to see it go, down and to the right. We want to see it go up and to the right because that's better for everybody. However, when we look at some of the things that have happened with investors pulling out or brands never even coming to maturation, not even making it to the market, and so barrels getting sold off and relabeled and acquired and everything else, it's just a weird time, I think,
It really
for
is.
the spirits industry. And you can talk about the ebbs and flows with other spirits in the mix. Tequila doing what it's doing right now, and wine sort of making this weird comeback of sorts, but it's kind of like, if we're not going to trade with Europe, then that makes European wine much more valuable. And so, what do we do with getting it here, and how do we handle it, and all that? So, but in the midst of all of that, there's still some things that I know that we're all paying attention to. For example, we got a new BTAC this year. It's kind of new. There hadn't been anything added to it in quite some time, and we now have the E.H. Taylor 15-year bottled in bond. And I mean, I think I've seen one person. I don't know if it was AI or not. We'd probably have that conversation at some other time. But I mean, it's going to be making its debut in the next 60 days, if it's not already out there being reviewed and such. So, the hunt is on for the next BTEC, which hopefully means that I can get some of the other stuff that you don't want and that you already have. That'd be great. If anybody out there is listening and is like, hey, I got a line on a William LaRue Weller or a Big Saz, like, let me know. I'll happily take that off your hands if you are hunting for something else. So, um, I think that's an interesting thing, because decisions like that are not made necessarily to prop up a brand. Like, E.H. Taylor doesn't need a new product necessarily to solidify its place in bourbon lore or the industry or whatever. It's still very popular. Even small batch is going to fly off the shelves anytime anybody sees it. I say all the time, if I could find a case of it at or around retail, I would make that my everyday sipper. But it's still
Mhm.
one of those that's not super easy to find here in Tennessee. But I'll pose that question to you guys. What do you guys think about adding to this iconic lineup that has included, the Pappies and the Van Winkles and the Wellers, and now we have another arguably iconic name up on that shelf, so to speak. But it also feels kind of like, why ruin a good thing in some ways?
I have two schools of thought. The first is, I 100% believe E.H. Taylor deserves, if that is a such thing as deserving, to be in that lineup, because I will pick E.H. Taylor over some of those other brands that are in the BTAC, that are in BTAC right now. So, and for those who don't know, it stands for Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. So I think it is fair to have it in there. I'm surprised it wasn't there before. Having said that, I don't understand why. And here's why I say that. Like, yes, it deserves to be there. It is phenomenal stuff. E.H. Taylor, I'm like you. If I could find it at a good price and on the shelf, I'm drinking it every day. What I don't understand though is, I feel like, could make more money if they were to come out with, add a little more water to it, make it a 90 proof instead of a bottle and bond. That thing's going to fly off the shelves. Everybody's going to want it. Um, for me, the whole point of BTAC is these mysterious bottle, elusive, almost unicorn kind of bottles that you can't really get. And the thing I always liked about E.H. Taylor is it felt like approachable luxury. It was a little bit easier to find.
Yeah.
It was a little more of the, regular people's, if you will, luxury bourbon. And I feel like this kind of moves it out of that category in some ways. And so it'll be interesting to see what people think and say about it. Like I'll be the first to say of BTAC, it's the bottle I would want most. Like I will be very honest in saying that. But it makes it feel a little bit different. I liked the idea of having this phenomenal bottle that didn't feel quite so snobby. And this makes it to me feel a little snobby. I'm still gonna drink it though.
Yeah, but you have an interesting point, Christy. It's like why would you go that route compared to what Heaven Hill did this year with Old Fitz, where they released a younger,
A 7 year.
7 year, right? That's way more accessible, and now
Yeah.
everybody who can't find the Old Fitz,
Mhm.
the really nice glass bottles,
Hmm.
are able to find something that is at their price point or maybe more affordable. And
Right.
it's kind of like we're doing two different things here, right? Like we've taken a product line and elevated one, and then we've taken another one and made it more accessible. So, you know, it's good to have both, right? It's in a way showing the diversification of what you can do. I would also wonder how long this has been an idea. I wonder if there was a decision made however many years ago to say, like, how far could we age E.H. Taylor and it feel more like a BTAC versus,
Hmm.
an everyday or something like that. So knowing the kind of innovation that happens behind the scenes probably was in the mix of some
Yeah.
kind. Um, so what do you think, Terry?
I love the conversation because we always find ourselves here with our podcast in this group, and it's my favorite thing, if I'm honest. We try to theme some podcasts and talk about other topics, but we always end up back to the brands and why they create the products the way they do, and accessibility and the marketing of it. And I think you bring up such a great point, Christy. I think that, why not do that? Why not release a more accessible version, and
Hmm.
give the people what they want, especially in this current market. I think Charlie's got a great point
Yes.
with what Old Fitz did. Like that makes sense. That's how we move bourbon when there is a huge secondary market, right? We know this. We've experienced it. We've been part of it. Um, you take away the secondary market when you make some other stuff a little more accessible, especially when the numbers are down. So that's brilliant thinking. Brilliant thinking.
Well, and this is a part B to that too, right? Tin cup, which is one of those bottles that like I would see on the shelf, and it's they got the camping motif and
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
the little silver cup on the top, which I've always thought was just cool, right? And kind of like the Blanton's horses, right? Just a little gimmick, but the idea I believe originally was you
A
should be able
usable
to
one.
throw it in a
Yeah.
backpack and use it while you're camping or out in the wilderness or whatever. Well, they announced like a 14-year bourbon, and I think just several years ago they did a 10 year, like their black label or whatever. So I think there is a level of experimentation that is happening with some of these brands that is something to pay attention to, because like the article that we wrote about Morgan Salzman and what's happening with liquid assets.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's what they want. They want innovation. They want ideas. They want not to do the crazy pickled flavored whatever, but they certainly want to say, what if we did it this way? And I think a lot of brands are starting to pay attention to that and will diversify that way in breadth and in depth in some ways if they're able to.
Yeah.
Because what I see happening, and this is just because time is undefeated, I hear people talk all the time about something like Pinhook. Uh, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, one of the guys that Terry and I know very well is like, "Oh man, Pinhook 5 years, the best thing I've ever had." And then he was like, oh, Pinhook 6 years, the best thing I've ever had. And then the next year, oh, Pinhook 7 years, the best thing I've ever had, right? Like we're seeing this progression as time goes on and as age is doing what it's supposed to do with some of these spirits. And I think, maybe it's just a guess, but I think we're starting to see maybe the double-digit age statement maybe solidify its place. Because though nobody ever talks about it because it's not one of their higher priced ones, Eagle Rare is still a 10-year bourbon.
Yes.
We're not talking about something that was put into the barrel, after the pandemic. We're talking about something that has been in there since 2015, 2016, right? So I wonder if we're getting to this point where double-digit age statements could become the standard or could become the most desirable thing because a brand waited long enough to release a good product. And to your point, Christy, earlier, right? Like, we're not just going to let it touch a new charred oak barrel for half a second and then call it bourbon, right? Like, we're actually going to get that quality that we've all been maybe searching for.
Well, and I think Charlie, to go back to what you said earlier, with there being, I forget your stat now, 16.1 million barrels currently aging, because the market has softened a little bit, that's going to force them to keep it in the barrel longer. Because if people aren't buying it, there's no reason to pull it out and bottle it yet. So, I think in 2 or 3 years, whether it is by choice or by we just couldn't sell it at a younger age, we are going to see more of those double-digit age statements. And I think bourbon hits a beautiful place around 8 to 10 years. Now, what is always interesting to me, I tend to tap out around 15 years. There are some exceptions. I think Elijah Craig 18 is great, but much beyond that for bourbon, to me, it just gets too oaky. So, it'll be interesting to see how many people really love the flavor of those higher age statements as opposed to loving the exclusivity of them. So when they become more available, will people still run to them? Because a lot of those higher statements, yeah.
I mean, like, this is a barrel proof from, it's from a couple of years ago. It's a 12-year, and it's so good. I haven't opened this in probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it's still killer. It's still dark. It's still rich. It's still full. Some of them can do that. I mean, whether it's the mash bill or where they're finished or wherever it is, I think that's going to be the differentiating factor for some and not for others, unfortunately. So how do you make yourself as a brand really stand out? Maybe it is older age statements. Maybe it is different finishes, right? Bardstown's kind of known for their collabs and their finishes, the same way Angel's Envy is. I don't know that Angel's Envy is ever going to make a name for themselves just being single barrel, cask strength, whatever it is. I think they're going to be known as, how can we make this the most unique thing? The same way Dixon Deadman is doing at 2XO, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's doing a different expression, a different blend every year.
Even Angel's Envy, they just did their first age statement. They just came out with a 10-year. So, even a brand that is known for their finishes, they are now dipping their toe into the age statement kind of pool. So it'll be interesting to see, and I think there are other brands, like I may have talked about it. I have Knob Creek at 9, 12, 15, and 18. I will drink the 12 and 15 all day. I don't love the 18. That's one for me that those extra few years changed the flavor profile. But that 12-year, in my opinion, is that sweet spot. So it'll be interesting to see. It makes it fun to continue to drink and talk about it because, time, it's one of those time literally will tell.
Seriously. It's exactly right.
100% right. Well, before
one more headline. One more headline, just because I think it's interesting to mention. Celebrity bourbons, celebrity whiskeys, whatever they are. I think they all, they have their place. It's an investment opportunity for some. I think that's really, really going to be there for a long time. But I think what I read today, stupid dog. I'm sorry.
Is that Joe in the background? He really is under the weather.
Shoot, yeah. Sounds like a golden doodle if I'm being honest. Jeez.
Yeah.
No, I think there's I read this headline and I thought this is a strange combination of brands. If you were to roll the dice um or shake the magic 8 ball and say who should these two brands who should the two most random brands, how would you marry them, right? Uh Johnny Walker announced that they're doing a global campaign with Sabrina Carpenter, one of the pop stars of today. And I thought there might be no stranger combination of a spirit and a celebrity that I have ever heard of than Johnny Walker and Sabrina Carpenter.
I mean, I would put her with something a lot
I see what they're doing.
sweeter. Like, this is me being totally stereotypical. First, I would put her with
Yeah.
tequila or vodka,
Sure.
if I'm honest. And if it
Yep.
was going to be a bourbon or a whiskey rather, not even a bourbon, if it's going to be a whiskey, it would be something sweeter, and like I would almost go more the Sir Davis route that Beyonce did, that is really sweet and has a very unique flavor profile
Yeah.
for the crowd, for the new whiskey drinker, because that's what it's attracting. Johnny
Hmm.
Walker, that's a grown up drink. Like it, that's interesting.
You're right. There's a demographic gap here
Yeah.
where I don't know anybody under the age of 30 who would say that's my go-to or that's something I
No.
always have on my shelf.
This is,
Exactly.
guys, this is the perfect time to try this. It's so crazy that it might actually work. If you've got bourbon to move, you got barrels sitting, if you can find a way to bypass the audience that is waiting for the prices to come down and
Hmm.
introduce to a crowd that hasn't even thought about it, doesn't have it
That's
in an
You're
idea what
right.
it should take. Like it kind of does blow my mind. Like that's pretty brilliant if it
Sure.
works. It is a massive gamble.
It is.
I feel like it's a one bottle purchase though.
I
It's
would agree.
probably so.
I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
what I mean.
people will
That's
buy
where it
it
can be
once.
at risk.
Yeah. Like I did, but who knows? Who knows? It'll be interesting
Look,
to
Yeah,
watch.
I
maybe
will
that's all
never
they're looking
forget.
for.
I used to tell this story all the time when I was teaching about like social media and the power of influence, not the power of money behind it. But in
Mm-hmm.
the early days of Twitter, in LA, club owners would just ask Ashton Kutcher. They would pay Ashton Kutcher to come to their club or their bar and tweet that he was there, and then the crowds would
Hmm.
literally just follow him around wherever
Yeah.
wherever he went, and it worked. I mean, and I guarantee you, it worked for a season, if not just a temporary boost for whatever it was.
Hmm.
The power of influence is still very, very strong. I don't think we talk about it just because streaming has done what it does. I still pay attention, by the way, to any kind of product placement in a show. Like I'll never forget
Hmm.
the second time rather, that I rewatched The Big Bang Theory. There was one particular episode where they poured Blanton's for some of the characters, and I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
look at that! There's Blanton's.
Yep.
They paid for that. I know they did." When Yellowstone had a Weller 12 thing, a Weller 12 sighting in, I think it was season 3 or 4.
Hmm.
There's still power in influence, and she's arguably the biggest music star right now. I mean, sold out concerts, stadiums, the whole nine. So I mean, it's a smart move. It's a smart move to say we can certainly get a higher reach, even if we do not capture our traditional demographic, and even if we do not just explode our sales out of the door this year,
Hmm.
it will still move the needle in some way. So it's a gamble for sure, but it's also a smart move on their part too.
I agree.
And
I
they
think
have
it's really
nothing to
cool.
lose because the people who are drinking
Exactly.
it aren't going to care. Like the folks who are the true Johnny Walker enthusiasts, they don't care who else is drinking it, so they're going to keep buying it. And even if they just get a one-time bump, I mean, the brand is iconic enough that they can take the risk.
All right.
Yep,
I would agree.
sure can.
Yeah, and we'll see who follows suit, and then we'll see what happens to them because it's not for every distiller
No.
it's on your size. If you're in a lane and you're not mainstream, this may not be the play for you. Just you know, we haven't arrived in the world of marketing, but we're not idiots. So we'll
Yeah.
see that one coming a mile away. Um, Well, I love this conversation. It's been really great, but I want to make sure we move into CPH's next segment here, and we get to find out this massive cliffhanger that we're all sitting on and eager about. So, Christie's Encounters is up next. Christy, take it away.
Yes, yes, and I love that. I need that on T-shirts and trademarked and all the things. So y'all
It'll
know
be on.
I
It'll
love
be on the
bourbon.
TikTok shop tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Perfect, perfect. As long as I get a cut, I'm good.
100%.
So y'all know I love bourbon, but the other thing I love just as much are cigars. So this past weekend, I had the chance to go out to MB Roland Distillery, hence the bottle, and they gave me 4 bottles. I literally have all 4 of them sitting here. So we worked with a cigar company, Master Blend Concierge Cigars. They picked out 4 sticks. We picked out 4 MB Roland single barrels and did a pairing. So each stick was paired to one of the whiskeys that worked really well with that stick. We
Hmm.
had a kind of facilitated conversation. So I got to do a panel discussion with Paul, who's the founder and master distiller of MB Roland, and Ruben, who is the owner of Master Blend Cigars. So we talked a lot about just cigar culture, bourbon culture, how they fit together. You know, anyone who knows the Venn diagram of cigar smokers and bourbon drinkers are basically 2 circles sitting on top of each other. So
Hmm.
we got to talk about that, but then we went through this whole pairing moment where everybody got to taste all 4 whiskeys, pick out your favorite, and then we say, based on that, we recommend this stick with it. So then people got the stick, they lit it up, and got to experience that whiskey with the stick that they, that we paired with it. So it was a super, super cool event. MB Rollins, a great distillery. They're out in Pembroke, Kentucky. They also just opened a tasting room, which is about an hour and a half away from there. And the name of the city just escaped me as I was talking. But MB Rollins, super cool. They're one distillery who did everything themselves from the beginning. So they never source juice, and there's nothing wrong with sourcing. It's a great way to stand up a brand, but they actually started with their own mash bill and everything, which was super cool. So this event was a lot of fun. We did a high wheat bourbon. We did their flagship bourbon, which is a rye. Then we did an actual rye, and we did a corn whiskey. So 4 very different flavor profiles to pair with 4 super different cigars. So that was a lot of fun, lot of fun. And then before that, did another CPH Encounters, another event. Terry, you and Carrie were there at Nelson Greenbrier, where we had
Yes.
somebody hand rolling cigars. We
Hmm.
had a whole conversation with the master distiller and their bar manager. Got to drink and taste some really good stuff from the Nelson Greenbrier lineup. I hand rolled a stick, which is the first time I've ever done that. It did not fall apart, and I will swear it's the best cigar I've ever had.
Hey,
Probably wasn't, but in my mind it was. And hats off to cigar rollers, because that is not easy. Like, that is not easy. But what I love with each of these events is the pairing. And the cultures of bourbon and cigars are so similar. The flavor profiles and even the art and science behind making them, they just, I mean, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. They truly are kind of this perfect match. So I've been having a ton of fun with my 2 favorite things. So that's what I've been up to. More to come. Also went to St. Louis for the St. Louis Bourbon Festival, which was a ton of fun. So yeah, I've been all over doing all the things and loving every minute of it.
Everybody's going to have to tune in for the next Christie Encounter. We're not going to give away too much.
Yes.
I do
So,
too.
fun fact, I was smoking that cigar, not the hand rolled one, but at the
Mm-hmm.
event we were given a cigar.
Yes.
I was smoking this at a music festival in Alabama, even more niched. It was a music festival for indie metal and punk bands from like yesteryear,
Did you go to
and
Firefest?
it was Furnace Fest.
Furnace Fest. I'm
Uh,
sorry.
fu-
Yeah,
yeah, Furnace Fest. And I'm over there
same
smoking
thing.
a cigar, watching an old band that hasn't played a show in 20 years. And the guy that labeled the cigars, the cigar shop owner, came over to me and he goes, "Where'd you get that cigar?" and I never met this guy in
Oh,
my life.
you got caught.
And I was like, I just got this at an event. And he goes, "Was this at Nelson's Greenbrier?" And I was like, "Yeah, my friend Christy, did a bourbon event there, and we got the cigar." And he's like, "I white labeled these for them. This is from my cigar shop." And I was like, "Get out of here!"
Hey,
Yeah. So
that's
we ended
really
up striking
cool.
up a long conversation. I got his contact information. I told him we wanted to have him on the show at some point. Um, yeah. So it was fun. He ended up handing cigars
That
to
is
my
cool.
buddies, and we all smoked cigars, watched some music. It was quite the day. I can't remember the name of the shop though, and it's going to bother me. I want to plug him so bad. Dadgummit, it's gonna. I got it in my phone. I don't want to look at
I
it
know
because
this. I know this.
that's not
It's
that's
in
not good radio.
Murfreesboro.
He
It'll
said he
come to
had
me.
several. He's got several. Um,
Okay.
and he opened up in one out of state too. So it was, and I do know him, or I've met him before. Anyway, it was a really cool story. So and a great event too. Um, but yeah, I do want to move on, and we're going to end with this next one. And this is a little bit of plug for a thing we all got to do together, and it's in the next issue of the magazine. And if you've been on our Instagram channel at all, you might have gotten a sneak peek of it. But we all went out to a cool little venue here in Nashville. It's brand new. And it's called the Marquee. And we had a great time there, and we were very well taken care of by the staff. Guys, let's
Were
talk
we
about
ever?
let's talk about it a little bit. Just, I want to give them some love. They were really kind to us and having us out to review the place. And it was only a couple weeks old when we went out. So I'd love to hear your firsthand experiences of what you love the most.
Loved the music. I am a live music junkie, and it has you were talking about it earlier, it has the speakeasy feel to it. It isn't
Mm-hmm.
technically, I don't think, a speakeasy, but it very much has that feel. But the entertainment was amazing. Also, somebody who was on this podcast who will remain nameless got up and danced. We will, it was a thing to see. You had to be there. But their two performers, their singers were just phenomenal. The live band was great. Like, it was a phenomenal date spot. Like, I am going there on a date one day when I get one of those date things that I keep hearing people talk about.
This is
Totally
not
going there.
eHarmony. This is not eHarmony. Like
Hey,
we
every
we can
moment
help.
counts, Charlie. I gotta
It
put in
does.
every plug that I
Yeah,
can.
Charlie,
It's
don't
hard
Hey,
out
you're
dance.
here in
supposed to use
State
our
Street.
we're supposed to use our platform for good, not for selfish and evil purposes, Christy.
This will be good.
Wow.
This will make Christy happy. This will make Christy very
Wow.
happy. I come with a
Yes, it
bourbon
will. Yes,
collection
it
and
will.
everything. But yeah, no, Marquis Nashville, it really is. And I don't know if y'all remember the woman who was in the hoop doing this like gymnastics
Yeah.
trapeze looking thing that I am committed to trying one day. Like, it was one of those perfect combinations for me of phenomenal food, great spirits, phenomenal entertainment with this really cool 1920s vibe. I am going back. I actually have some friends coming in town in a couple of weeks, and we have already said that's one of the places we're going. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Marquee Nashville, 100% go there. 100%.
It was good
I
times. Charlie, what did you think, bud?
I have mixed feelings about immersive experiences.
Go on.
The most obvious one would be like a Renaissance fair. When I'm at a Renaissance fair, we can't pretend like we're really back in that time. We just can't. It's not possible. Nice. Thank you for trying. Thank you for including me in whatever ruse you were trying to pull over on everybody else. It's fine. Whatever. I really like it's. I appreciate the artistry of it and all of that. The Marquee was not that. The Marquee was a great homage to the past, an experience of what it could have been like. But they also had, I agree with you, Christy, the music was just phenomenal. They're doing jazz covers of Michael Jackson and modern songs that are just out of this world good. I mean, the musicianship, yes, we're in Nashville and we get spoiled by that, but regardless of geography, I mean, it was just phenomenal. It's one thing when it makes you pay attention because it's bad. It's another thing when you pay attention and then you forget because it is so good.
So good.
One of those things that makes you go, "Oh, wait, I know that song. Oh, that's a jazz cover of that." Oh, I would also give props to the atmosphere as soon as we walk down the stairs, you do feel like you're in another world. You feel like you're in another time. It was literally one of those experiences that I look back on and I went, somebody did this correctly. They're not trying
Right,
to they're not
right.
trying to literally transport you back to 1932 or 19 whatever it was. They're trying to bring a good modern twist to what it could have been. So, I appreciated it a lot for bringing that. I also want to give a shout out to the food. The food was so good.
Yes.
I think all three of us got different dishes, and we all shared a bite or two. And I had the pork chop, and I did
So
feel like I
good.
had to be selfish with it at one point. It was phenomenal, and I
So
was
good.
like,
Yeah.
no, no, it's not that good. I'll eat it for you. Don't worry about it.
This is
Um,
terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, don't. It's not. No, everything that we had, top to bottom, was great. The drinks were fantastic. I know Terry ordered something off the menu that I'm sure he'll talk about here in just a second. But I mean, I was very impressed. Jazz is one of those, like, I think it's a divisive musical genre because you either literally love it or
Mm-hmm.
you could not be more vehemently opposed to it. But I thought they did. I really did think that they, top to bottom, created a very unique experience, and I hope they're around for a long time. I hope people
Me
get to
too.
go and experience that for themselves.
Listen, I had an amazing time with y'all. Part of it was that it was you guys, and it was the environment in which we were in. Like, what an amazing time. They took care of us. We were sitting in a this lounge area. We felt VIP. I did get sucked into the vortex of dancing, not once, but two times.
Yep.
Apparently, I looked so bad out there. They wanted to see it a second round. Uh, it was
I think
I
Mia
was
just needed a committed
good
volunteer.
night.
You were committed both times, buddy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
you pretended like you resisted, but then you were like, "Oh, okay, I'll help you out, Mia. It's
I'm
fine."
I had
here.
my camera in my hand. I was trying to get the content. So no, it was they. I've had a
I
few
have
exchanges.
video. I have video of the entire dance routine. So
Me too.
just know
He's got blackmail.
one day when you run for public office, there'll be an
It's coming
October
on.
surprise just for you, buddy.
Perfect, perfect. No, the you're hilarious. No, both the ladies were good. Commented on Instagram about our post that we put up about the marquee. You guys go check that out on our Instagram page. It's the Blind Tiger Collective. They were- she's like, thanks for dancing with me. I was like, great. She remembered. It was that bad. No, an amazing, amazing experience from the singing and two singers, two jazz vocalists that were spot on. The dancers that came out, the very classy, the little black and white tuxedo dancers that came out, that was really cool. I got a really amazing shot of the bartender serving a drink. He's in a top hat, of course he is. It was just an absolute vibe,
It
and I
was.
can't wait to go back. So, if you guys get a
I'll
chance,
say this, and I talked about it. I talked about it just briefly in the article. There's some really good stuff in the article that we didn't even get to touch on here.
hmm
But it's very much a little bit of a supper club where there are people who are dressed very nicely, at least at minimum, very nice jeans and a jacket. Some people in cocktail attire as well. But because it is off Broadway of sorts, there were a lot of people who were just walking in off the streets because they were
Mm-hmm.
curious. They didn't have a reservation. They weren't going to get a table. They walked up to the bar. They ordered something, and they just kind of peered around. I liked how accessible that was. I liked that it wasn't so closed off that they were like, "Oh no, you have to have a jacket on to be in here," or you must have a reservation. They were very open and accommodating to say, "Yeah, please come in and check it out and see what we have going on." So don't have to have a reservation. You can just walk up and pop your head in, listen to a few tunes, and then go back out to the honky tonks if you want to. But I
so
love that
yeah.
it's also kind of this hidden gem in Nashville where, yes, we have the country boot scooting bars, but we also have a really interesting jazz experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
And
going to say that it helps remind people Nashville is really about music in general, not just country music. And this was, I think, a great example of some phenomenal musical talent in a really cool vibe, again, with everything else kind of falling in line. So it was a fun night.
it really
We had a good
was.
time.
We did have a good time, and I appreciate y'all coming out. So, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, we'll go ahead and say it's sponsored by the Marquee today. The Marquee Nashville. It's underneath the Woolworth Theater, which is also an incredible venue in and of itself. The shows there are pretty cool as well. So, you're in Nashville. You plan on coming to Nashville? Look up the Marquee Nashville on Instagram and check out the venue. Tell them that the Blind Tiger sent you. You can find it at 223 Rep John Lewis Way in North, and that's Nashville, Tennessee. And it's literally right downtown, and it is a good time. So,
And it's
guys,
Marquee, not
exactly. Yep.
IS. That
Yes.
double E on the end.
Double E. Marquee double E. This has
Yes.
been a great podcast, guys. I want to give you a second to maybe throw in your last word real quick, and then I'll wrap us right up. We'll start with Christy.
I am excited that it is fall and fire pit season. I love summer, but the thing I love about fall is, for me, fall is all about bourbon because the weather just begs for it, especially toasted bourbons, which are my favorite. So you will find me sitting around my fire pit, sipping on some great toasted bourbons. So I cannot wait. I always look forward to this time of the year for that. And we are there, so I'm super excited. And as always, it's been great talking to the two of y'all.
Yeah, same for me. I love fall. Fall's my favorite time. College football and changing of the seasons and boots and flannel and the whole nine. It's my favorite time. I'm like you, Christy. I love on a late Saturday night sitting out by a fire pit, having a cigar and a couple of pours before bedtime, and especially cracking some of the ryes that I tend to hold on to for a little bit colder weather. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a vibe, and we're coming up on allocation season. I know everybody's going to be hunting pretty soon,
Yeah.
but there are also some brands that are counting on you not finding your allocation and maybe discovering something new. So don't be afraid to try a brand that you've never heard of. Find a local shop that's doing a free tasting and get your nose into it. Let your palate experience it. Get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff, guys. As always, I enjoy every part of recording this podcast because I get to sip bourbon with my friends. Uh, you guys have been amazing. I appreciate your perspective as always. It's been a really fun podcast today. Christy, more encounters coming soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
And yeah, Charlie, it is allocation season, which means we're heading up on the holiday. So, this is me, just a little, public service announcement to my mother-in-law. Allocation season is here. Just ask what's in the back. They got you.
That's
No,
right.
we really appreciate you all tuning in today and making and enjoying this podcast along with us. We hope you had a good time. We ask that you like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And on behalf of myself, Joe Beecroft, Charlie Sells, and Christy, better known as CPH, we appreciate you being here. Cheers to you all, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers.